Welcome everybody to the seasonal diet, eating what our ancestors ate when they ate it like we were evolved to do. Pepper, a basic spice that you can find on the dinner table all over the world, but where is it native to? How long have we been eating it? And in which season of the year was it eaten by our ancestors? Well, the peppercorns come from the nigrum plant. It is native to India, like most other delicious spices, but it's also found in parts of Southeast Asia. It has been used for cooking that we know of for 4,000 years, but of course it's probably a lot older than that. The question that we're all looking for here is when was it imported to our ancestors' diet? Since most of you are watching have European ancestry, we speak about that. As usual, most of the spices from the East, for 2, 3, 4,000 years even, have a history of trade with Europe. But it was only the kind of wealthiest class at the start who could afford it for most of that time. And they found it actually 3,000 years ago stuffed in mummies, up a mummy's nose from ancient Egypt. So there, it was definitely used by the emperors or whoever that mummy was, right? And it's also the same in ancient Rome about 2,000 years ago. It came a little bit more accessible. The Romans and the Greeks had a well-established trade. We have written records of importing this pepper, but still only the kind of higher class and nobles and royalty could afford it. It would not have been a part of the diet for regular humans. Definitely not if your ancestors are from the north of Europe. But about 100 years later, we have a great author called Pliny the Elder from Rome, and he wrote how pepper had become a big part of cooking in Rome. And in another one of the earliest cookbooks that we have records of, actually, most of the recipes include some pepper in there. So at that time, a little bit less than 2,000 years ago, the southern parts of Europe had a lot of pepper in their diet probably, and the northerly parts of Europe, like Britain or Germany, they had a good established trade with Rome, so most Europeans would have had some access to pepper at least about 2,000 years ago. As we get further on in history, it just becomes more and more of a staple in the diet, with the main being in the colonial era with all the trade, and ever since then, Europeans have always put a little pinch of pepper in their cooking in almost every meal. So yes, it is in our ancestor diet. I love it, especially on a nice steak. I really coat the hell out of that. Next question is, when is pepper in season and when should we be eating it? Well, they bloom in the summer months and are usually harvested around that time, depending where, though. It's grown a lot of places in the world now. But the great thing about pepper and all the other dried herbs and spices is once that they are harvested and dried, they are edible for a very long time. I mean, geez, you found pepper stuffed up a nummy's nose 3,000 years ago. So yes, pepper is in our seasonal ancestral diet year-round, and it's a great addition to our cooking.